Well, hello. Maybe I should clear my throat before I start these. It is another beautiful morning here in North Carolina. I'm drinking out of my class of 98 coffee mug. I'm in the prime of my life. Listening to the chimney swifts chatter. You know how I know they're chimney swifts? Because they lived in my chimney and they chatter all the time. So, just a quick plug that I'm shooting for. Well, I think Monday I'm releasing the name of my IndieGoGo, and I think the following Monday, so 20th, I think me and Elliot are both doing ours that Monday. I'm not sure yet about Elliot. So that's coming up. Just gonna just a little plug there. Uh, I had someone ask about for me talk about like exercising and having physical activity helps work, and it is I have found that for me personally this is how, and again, every time you hear advice on the internet, adapt it for your own purposes. Especially if someone tells you, I don't want to get into the hey, do these things and you're going to be a millionaire kind of thing, because if or hey, do these things and you'll get a million subs. Incidentally, and I've mentioned this before, if you go to the Barnes and Noble, I spent a lot of time several years ago just going to Barnes and Noble, pick off a business book, a marketing book, right? And you sit down and you just skim through it, read. I read pretty quickly, so I would read a book, and then I realized they're all the same formula, and they're made to you can really read them really fast because they're simply written and they're summarized, every chapter, every point summarized, right? But all these people online and that are doing the most successful building their platform because they have a big platform, they're successful because everybody wants a big platform, and they're coming to them not for some other product, but typically to learn how to build a big platform. So take it with a grain of salt. Anyway, so talking about things that help with exercise, and I didn't plan this, but I'm wearing my this is the gym I train at. I didn't plan that. It's just serendipitous. Is that how you say that? Is that right? Um, so a couple things, if you're an artist or a writer, whatever, you're sitting at a desk most of the day. If it's your full-time job, obviously, or if it's not your full-time job, you're probably sitting at a desk, whatever you're doing, and it is. We're obviously being physical beings. We need to move, or we're going to stagnate physically. We need to move. Like if we're it helps us think. It does help with creativity. So for example, I know some of the best when I've had a problem thinking about like a cover, right? So I know multiple times when IDW I would have to do a cover for Joe or something. I think the best covers I came up with, I did not come up with sitting at the desk, right? It was either at the gym or on a run. A lot of story ideas for me come when I'm running. Like if I sit down to write, like I can do dialogue, like I can write sitting down and then you get into the flow and stuff. But a lot of times just the larger concept stuff comes to me when I'm out for a long run. Now, one of the things too is like I found that like having some exercise, like I think you need, I just said you need different levels of activity. And I've found that once or twice a week, just intense, usually for me it's sparring night, intense exercise is good. But you'll have to recover from it. So the next day, like yesterday, I was sore and I was tired and I had to take a nap in the middle of the day. But in general, I've found that if you just do something like if you go for a walk or a light run or like lifting weights, if you're lifting weights like trying to be Arnold Schwarzenegger, that's going to take a lot out of you. It's going to fry your nervous system, and you can have recovery time. And I think your work will suffer. It does for me anyway. Maybe you're more superhuman than me. But just having like moderate, lifting some resistance training and stuff. Anyway, all that to say is, when people talk about exercise, I think you just need to get your blood pumping. You need to get out. You need to get in that place where your body's moving, but your mind is still free to think, and that's the sweet spot. Right. And then you come back to the table energized. So it is really important to get away from the table, to get out, even if it's just for a walk, or if you look at composers, Mozart, writers in history. And I did a video on this, like the daily schedules of people. You can find that fairly recently in one of my vlog playlists. If you look at those, like all the great, what's considered the great composers, the great artists, thinkers, philosophers and stuff, a big part of their day, like they have take a long walk, or they write for 2 or 3 hours, and then there's a huge chunk of time that's spent thinking, and most of the time that thinking was also paired with walking. There's also a really great book, and I mentioned it before, called Painting as a Pastime by Winston Churchill. And Winston Churchill had pretty big responsibility, right? Defeating Hitler, all that stuff. A couple things he did. One, he took a 2-hour nap every day. We all don't have that luxury, Winston. He did work till 2 in the morning though, and he was one of these guys that he could go on less sleep and a weird schedule, and lots of alcohol. But one of the things that he did make a great point in Painting as a Pastime, that when he was about 40 or so, he started painting, and that was one of his hobbies. His other hobby was bricklaying, which he made the point that when if someone is a physical laborer and they spend all day bricklaying, and you ask them to relax by going and playing like intense sports, that's probably, for most people, that's not going to work because it's too similar to their job. Or if someone has an office job with difficult mental, problems to solve, asking them to do puzzles and things, probably not. It gets too similar. You got to have something that's different, and it has to be something that you can really get into, and develop a little bit of mastery over, but something that absorbs you, but it's different from your main work. So, what in the world is that? Oh, there's 2 of them talking. I don't know if y'all can hear that. So it's nature. Nature interrupts. Doesn't care. Doesn't care about my vlog at all. So Winston Churchill, he was solving is more of an administrative thing. So to relax, he had to get absorbed in bricklaying, which was physical, or painting, which was a different kind of artistic mental process. So having exercise, I think, is one of those things for artists that is important because it's different enough, and find something that you can get into, right? If you hate running, then don't run. I mean, if you hate exercise in general, you can learn. There's something out there you can do. But that, I can't tell you that. I can't tell you what that is. That's on you. Man, 98 was a long time ago. The internet was the Wild West. Man. So anyway, that's it for just a few thoughts. The sun has moved, and it's reflecting off of my table, and hitting me in the face. There we go. How about if I look down like that? There we go. So anyway, be sure to subscribe and share. I'm still trying to figure out which of these videos do better for what reason. But share them, like them, subscribe, all that stuff. Doug TeNaples Earthworm Gym launches on Monday. Me and Elliot's will be following not far on the heels of that. Over on Doug's channel, you can watch all 3 of us be fools for an hour every day at lunchtime. So thanks, and I will see you tomorrow.